Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. We're going to get into some healthier options today on your dietary plan. And all we're doing is changing a couple of ingredients out in some classic dishes. And what's going to wind up happening is you're going to wind up saving several hundred calories a day because of these really easy changes. It's going to get a little bit mathy and it's going to seem a little rambly at times, but there's a lot of good information. If you'll just stick with me, I think you'll get a lot out of it. Thanks. Let's get into it. Make some waffles. First of all, I feel like you're probably thinking to yourself, waffles aren't health food. This isn't going to work. That's kind of where you're wrong. I'm going to explain some stuff. Instead of using flour, I'm using like wheat flour. Instead of using wheat flour, I'm using oatmeal. Stay with me. Stay with me. I've got oatmeal and a little bit of baking soda in here, and then I'm going to blend this up in this blender, and it's going to basically be self-rising flour. And we'll get this going, and we'll look at it here in just a second. Alright, so my next step in this waffle endeavor is also going to include something you're going to say, those aren't waffles. It's sweet potatoes, and I've got just a little bit of milk in here, and I've mashed these together. I just baked this in the microwave, but if you have leftover sweet potatoes that you baked in the oven or whatever, you can do that. But you can bake them in the microwave in 5 minutes, so that's what I did. Just going to mix that in. I may need a little bit more milk, and then I'm going to put some of this flour. And I don't know if you can see the texture on it, but I try and get it really fine. It mixes in a lot better if you do. Well, why don't we show them just a little bit right there? Alright, now you can dump that in. Alright. And I do about a cup of sweet potato per quarter cup of flour, and then just get my mix. However, I'm going to need some more milk in that. But you're going to want your batter pretty thick. It just seems to work better that way. I'm also going to put about a tablespoon of brown sugar in these, which you're probably thinking, you can't put brown sugar in something if it's diet. I'm putting brown sugar in these. It's going to be fine, trust me. Alright, so I put a little bit of brown sugar in there and a little bit more milk and got it to a pretty thick batter consistency. I don't know, maybe cake battery. If you don't have a waffle iron, I don't want to do that. If you don't have a waffle iron, you can just make pancakes, but I have a waffle iron, so I'm making waffles. But you're going to want to fill them about 3/4 of the way full, because they do have that self-rising, or that baking soda in there, so they will grow just a little bit. And then we'll come back when these get good and crispy. That brown sugar is going to make them crisp up a little bit too. That's another reason I added that in there.
Hey, Mom. Hey.
While those waffles finish up, I'm going to scramble one egg, and I'm going to do this in the microwave because I know what you're saying. You're going to say, I can't wake up and cook waffles and eggs every morning. Well, what you can do is cook your eggs in the microwave, and it takes a minute. And you can cook your waffles on the weekend and then reheat them, and they're perfectly fine. And you're also probably saying, these waffles are going to be disgusting. Let me tell you a secret. So this one time, I made waffles, and I used to make them with just regular flour, and my wife and my kids, they loved them. They were like, these are fantastic. So one morning I got up super early and I made some oat flour and made them, and then they ate the waffles, and I was like, hey, how are the waffles? And they're like, fantastic. And I'm like, there wasn't any flour in those waffles. Anyway, so we're going to get this in the microwave while that finishes cooking over there, and then we'll come back and plate these up and talk a little more. Pretty sweet waffle iron, and the bottom comes out and it makes it super easy for like tipping it over and getting your waffles out. That's a little free tip on that. Otherwise, like, the reason I feel like a lot of people don't stick with diets is because they are either hungry all the time or they feel like they are cutting something major out of their life. And what I'm trying to do is address both of those issues. Also, like, I probably take in 3,000 calories or so a day, somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 calories a day. And another thing, people try and just cut it in half or something. You can't do that. It's not good. I mean, it'll work for like 2 weeks, and then you're going to go and like binge out and eat 6 pizzas or something. But this way, if you'll just cut like 500 calories a week, 500 calories a day out, that's 3,500 calories a week, and that's about a pound. So If you're eating like 5,000 calories, maybe cut 1,000 out, and that's 2 pounds a week. But this is just going to be like an easy way to get there. You know, a pound a week, it's pretty manageable. But so got these cut and stick these over there. And there's my egg that I did. This plate right now, that's 150 calories, which is about the same as a bowl of cereal, which is about the same as half of what I would eat if I poured a bowl of cereal. Because if you're like me, you're going to fill the bowl all the way up and then top it off with milk. So right there, that's that. I don't even have much syrup left. These waffles are so good, that's enough syrup for all 4 of them. Like just enough to get a taste of like some maple on there. And another cool thing about, since I'm using sweet potatoes and the oatmeal, each waffle has 4 grams of fiber and 3 grams of protein, plus 6 grams of protein from that egg. So there's 9 grams of protein on this plate, 4 grams of fiber, and that's gonna get you full and keep you full longer than those 2 bowls of cereals that you had for breakfast yesterday. And I've got some deer back straps that I've butterflied open here. You could use sirloin, or you could use chicken, or ground beef, really, even as long as it's lean. What we're trying to do again is just cut some calories. So I'm going to give you numbers after this as if it was sirloin. Deer's a little less on the calories than that. But I've just soaked this a little bit and then let it sit overnight in the fridge uncovered like this, kind of dried out. I put basically taco seasoning on it, just some cumin and paprika and chili powder and salt and pepper and stuff. And I'm fixing to throw it on the skillet and get it to about medium rare, medium, somewhere in there. And then we'll bring it back and slice it up. Okay, so the steaks just cooked about 2 minutes aside, and I've got them resting right now. I'll let them rest for about 10 minutes before we slice into them. And you're probably saying to yourself, like, it sounds like you're making tacos, and tacos can't be healthy. Kind of like the waffle thing, just stay with me. And also kind of like the waffle thing, I'm bringing back some of this oat flour and some sweet potatoes, and we're going to make some sweet potato flatbread. Again, stay with me. We're just going to take 1 part mashed up sweet potatoes and 1 part flour, and it'll roll into this dough that's like bread dough. And we'll get all this combined, and then we'll roll out some like flatbread tortilla type things and fry those things up. Okay, so I just kind of kept adding more and more flour until that got to where it wasn't sticky on the outside, and it's just kind of rolled into a ball. And I've got a little bit of flour laid down right here. And what I'm going to do is just break off some golf ball-ish, maybe slightly bigger than a golf ball things, sections of it. You know, words escape me sometimes. And then we're just going to roll these out really thin and fry them up in the skillet. And these are going to be our taco shells. Going to put a little bit of some non-stick spray in there, and then drop these flatbreads down in there, like so. And they'll go about a minute aside. They'll start kind of like blistering up on the top, and then flip them over and cook the other side. And they'll do the same, then we'll pull them off. Okay, I got those cooked. The steaks still resting, they're done. But anyway, before we get into that and plating stuff up, I'm gonna do like some faux refried beans. I think refried beans are pintos, don't quote me on that. I usually use black beans when I'm doing this, but I didn't have any, so I've just got some Great Northerns. And I've got a little bit of minced garlic, and then just some salt and pepper and paprika and stuff that's in here. I'm gonna slap it in here and just let this blend around. I do want to give a shout out to Free Tips from Red Lips for helping me out with this blender. It's pretty sweet and all blendy and stuff, this blendy boy. And yeah, so I'll put a link down to Free Tips from Red Lips down in the description. Go check them out. Alright, so we're going to slice this steak up and start plating everything up on this. But a serving size of sirloin or meat is about 3 ounces. This is probably more than 3 ounces, but not by a whole lot. But look inside there, and it's just right at medium, probably a little less or more, however you want to look at that. Between medium rare and medium is what I'm meaning. But if you also notice, it's rested and it's not running all over the place. I probably mentioned this earlier, but I was almost a doctor. It's a common misconception that that's blood that's in there. It's not. The human body has about 1.5 gallons of blood in the whole system. And if you think about a human-sized steak manufacturing plant like a deer, there's no way that each muscle would have enough blood in it to run out when you cook it and stuff. It's actually myoglobin, which is a protein similar to hemoglobin, but it's got a stronger attraction to oxygen, and that's how muscles get oxygen out of the blood and stuff. So there's your free tips from me today on that. In there, here's some refried bean things, a little bit of salsa on my taco shell here. Salsa has like no calories. It's just not healthy for you because of the way you usually eat it. So I've got some pork rinds here you could eat it with. That's correct. I ended that in a preposition, forgive me. Anyway, but also, if you had like some guacamole or something, that would be a good medium in which to eat that. And I'm gonna put a little cheese on this as well. Alright, so I'm gonna break some calorie numbers down for you real quick. These are pretty accurate, mostly excellent. Yes, excellent. Thank you, Charlie. Mostly estimations, but I got about 6 of these tortillas out of that, and I broke that down to about 70 calories per wrap, which is about half of what a flour tortilla is, maybe a little less actually. And then each one has 2 grams of protein and 2 grams of fiber. So a serving of beans is 90 calories, and it's got 7 grams of protein and 6 grams of fiber, or flip-flop, one of those. They're pretty close. And then cheese has a few extra calories, but it's also got protein in it, so if you don't overdo it, it's fine too. But basically, this plate here is going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 calories, something like that. And so really you could do 2 tacos and finish off another half of this steak and still be under 400 calories, and that's a lot of food. Yeah, that's about it. You know, we'll come back to this in a couple weeks and talk some more.